Meet Terra Renae, a soul pop powerhouse from Louisville, Kentucky, whose soulful voice and raw lyrics are taking the music world by storm. Originally a model and doctoral graduate, Terra rediscovered her passion for music during the pandemic. A chance 2022 meeting with Grammy winner Macy Gray led to her debut album, All I Have, released in March 2025, with hits like Manifest It racking up over 300,000 streams. Mentored by Gray and backed by producers like Mikal Blue and Dave Pensado, Terra recently returned from a European tour opening up for Macy Gray. Now get ready for an inspiring chat with this rising star. Now here's the trout with Terra.
What's your degree in?
So I have a doctor of nursing practice.
Oh, okay.
So
Now,
I'm
is that
a
is
practice.
that like a nurse practitioner, or is it like an RN?
It is, so RN is typically a bachelor's degree. A nurse practitioner can be a master's or a doctorate degree. So I'm a doctorally prepared family nurse practitioner.
Okay. And so one day you get your degree. Where did you go to school?
I went to University of Louisville for my undergrad, University of Cincinnati for my master's,
Okay.
and then I received my doctorate degree back at University of Louisville.
And so one day you're going like, well, here, I'm going to be a nurse practitioner. I'm going to do this. Oh, wait a minute. I think I'll be a musician.
You know,
So
it's
how did
it's
that happen? How did that
it
come
is
about?
a really interesting story in that, I've sang all my life. I grew up in a Catholic school. I sang, I did choir, I did plays all growing up. And around the age of 13, there was a local competition in Louisville. It was a singing competition, and I made it to the finals. And when I flew to LA, the competition ended up being held in LA. And at that point in time, I didn't have any one-on-one vocal training other than just my play practice, my choir
Right,
practice.
right.
And all I took from those rehearsals was, oh, you have your song and you sing your song over and over and over again until it's perfect. No vocal exercises, no technique, anything like that.
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
over and over again. And I have a rather big, belty, chesty voice, a lot of people would like to describe. And so I chose a very big, belty, chesty song to really impress people with my 13-year-old body, right?
Right.
And, you know, what I didn't realize as a preteen is singing a big, belty song over and over again is absolutely terrible for your vocal cords. And so, yep, you got it. And so at that audition, I remember it was really traumatic, but I remember they wouldn't let my mother into the audition. And I remember when I sang, I just felt like nothing could come out. And I never quite understood that. And I always took it as, oh, why am I here? And I stopped singing immediately after that competition. I never stepped back on stage. And
What was the song?
it was Jessica Simpson, I Want to Love You Forever.
Okay.
hmm
Now we can say, who? Jessica who? Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, Jessica Simpson, I Want to Love You Forever. 13-year-old me singing that one,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And I remember after that, my mom said, well, what happened? What happened? I was like, I don't know. And honestly, I didn't have the answer for a really, really long time. I didn't know what to
Yeah.
tell her. And, I never auditioned for choir ever again. I never did any more plays after that. And I kind of turned to modeling because I was like, oh, well, that's a way for me to be on stage without me having to speak again. I was so afraid of speaking or anything coming out of my mouth after that. And I lost my father at a really young age,
I
about
heard
7.
about that. I understand. That's difficult. And on a wrong date. Not that
And
it's
it,
never
and
the right date.
on
A
a,
good friend of mine,
yeah.
mother passed away the day before Christmas,
Oh my
around that
God.
same time, and so every time Christmas comes around, it's so
It's
I understand that. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm grateful that enough time has passed now to where I
sure.
feel healed, but it still stings a little, if you think
Yeah,
about it too much.
yeah.
But I think after that my mom said, well, if we're not gonna go balls to the wall with singing, you need to figure out what you're gonna do. And academia is a safe route, and you need to build yourself a safety net because you just don't know what the future holds. And I think
Now
she
your
always
mom is originally from the Philippines, is that right? Okay.
uh-huh. And the medical field was always a guaranteed, no matter what, you'll always have a job. It doesn't even matter what you do in the medical field. The
Yeah,
unfortunate
people are
thing,
always going to be sick. Yes.
you will always be sick.
Yep.
And so she really instilled within me just to be independent and not to ever look at the future as depending on someone else. So I really took that to heart. And I said, well, I'm going to go all the way. But I always sang in private, I always wrote in private, but I was always really scared to share that up until COVID, when I met my husband, and who was a former musician, and I met him through the medical field. And COVID was very, very good to us because even us as medical professionals, we had a
Oh,
lot of extra
sure. Yeah.
time on our hands. And
So you were practicing at that time? You had
We
your own
were we
or
were
working for
we were
somebody? Yeah.
writing together. Yeah. At that point in time when he learned that I write and I sang, he said, "Well, I write music and I love music. I used to be a musician." And we were, dating at the time. And we said, "Well, why don't we start creating some music together and just see what happens?" And we loved it. I mean, we wrote every day of COVID. And of course, I had the classic quarantine song. Everybody else wrote, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of where it all spiraled. We're like, we really enjoy doing this together. And I was in my doctorate degree at that point in time. And after I graduated, things were really starting to move with music at that point
Hmm.
in time. This was circa day.
There was a pent-up demand. That's really
Yeah.
what it was.
And that's when I decided, I was like, when I graduate, this is a really pivotal moment in my career and in just with who I am as a person. You have to make a choice. And what do you want to do with that doctorate degree? Do you want to continue being a nurse practitioner, which I already
Hmm.
was, practice with a master's? And my thought was, well, I can open my own business and my own clinic, or maybe we take a chance on 13-year-old Terra who gave up on herself a long time ago because she's having a lot of fun writing right now. And I think we're kind of good at it. And if all else fails, my license is active and well, we can always go back, but why don't we
Well,
give
I have
her
to ask, where were you living at the time?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you were still living in Louisville. Okay.
Yes, yes. Born and raised, never left.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And so, yeah, so I think this chapter, my third decade of life, is really dedicated to me and kind of letting go of that safety net a little bit.
So the one thing I think you have going for you is we have like three things going for you. But if something doesn't work, you have a degree.
That's right.
I
That's right.
interviewed a couple years ago a musician out of Kansas City, and she was, I think, in the same type of business or something like that. She was a blues artist, and she said, "Yeah, if it doesn't work, I'll just go back to doing my job, and I can do gigs on the side."
Oh,
Um, the other thing you have going for you is um, the musical talent which you're given. I've always said that. People always come up, "You God Almighty, you're a great guitar player." So I said, "That's a gift. You just have to make it better." I mean, that's really what I've always said that. Especially
mhm.
if you and your husband both write songs, you can't explain to people how songs come about. You
Yeah.
just can't. You can just say, "Well, I was sitting down and I thought it doesn't." And then when you finish and you've got like this album that you just released, you listen to it and you go, "How did I come up with that stuff?"
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really know. You don't. You try to, and then I go with it and go, "Okay, here it is." And the third thing you got going for it is you're attractive.
Oh,
Not not that that helps anymore, but it does make it easier. And I think also the type of music you do kind of lends itself to that. Um, so you gave up a career, not really. Now
mhm.
let me ask you, because I have friends that are lawyers. Do you have to go in ever so often, like once a year, to do continuing education, or I mean, like medical? You do, don't you?
Yeah, you have to keep your continuing education
Yeah.
credits. You got it.
And then one day you're walking down the street, and look, Macy Gray goes up. Hey, it's Tara. Oh, it's Macy. Hi, Macy.
Now you're gonna love this one. So you know how I met Macy?
No, I have no idea.
This is okay. So, Circa Day 2022, my husband and I get married. We're already playing music. We have a whole bunch of demos at this point. We created
Right.
a whole
And
album
and so where did you record? In your house? Did you have your own stuff kind of
in our
set up?
living room.
So you had
In
your own
our
DAW and all that stuff. Okay. All right.
Got it. You got it. Okay, so I'm going to backtrack just for a second.
Okay, go
Okay.
ahead.
The reason my husband and I, the conversation even popped up, it was 2 years into our relationship. My husband owned a lot of studio equipment, unbeknownst to me at the time. And he comes home, of course, he's my boyfriend at this point. And he comes home and he goes, gosh, what a sigh of relief. I just sold a whole bunch of studio equipment, or actually, he donated it. He donated the equipment. And I looked and I was really disappointed. And he
Yeah.
goes, "Hey, now, hold on, why are you upset right now?" And I said, well, I know like we've been dating for 2 years, but I kind of haven't told you, but I sing and write in my spare time. It's like kind of my therapy. I have like a journal and like it just, I've done it all my life, but I just don't tell anybody. And he's like, what? And I said, yeah, like, it's just, I was just waiting for the right time. And I was hoping that maybe one day possibly we could collaborate. And he was like, what?
Because
He's like,
he's a guitarist, right? He's a
yes.
guitarist.
Oh,
Okay.
and he's a everythingist. So, like he can
Yeah.
play the guitar, he can play the bass, he can play the drums, he can play the piano. Obviously he can produce and
Yeah.
but anywho, and so he was like, okay, this is so interesting. So he bought like a very simple setup for our living room just off of our laptop for us to record.
Right.
Sat down one night and after a bottle of wine, I sang Natalie and Imbruglia Torn. 90s is my favorite.
That's a great tune, by the way.
Love that one. And he was like, okay, maybe we'll do something with this. So let's try. It's COVID. Why not? Right. So that's how that started. So anyways, we wrote a whole bunch of songs that year. Flash forward to 2022, we get married. And what we told all of our friends was, we don't want any tangible gifts. What I really would love is just, we live in a small condo. I can't no more things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But what we would love is just memories. If you all could take us out to dinner or let's go to the movies, like that's what we want. I want permanent memories as our gifts. And one of our friends just so happens to be very good friends with Macy Gray. And he said, well,
Isn't
I
that
tell
weird
you,
how that happens? It's just
right,
weird that
right.
that yeah, it's very
I'm
weird.
like, you just happen to be friends with Macy
Yeah.
Gray. Okay, sure. He just randomly met her at a bar and complimented her on her coat, and they really hit it off.
He probably didn't even know who she was. I wonder if
You
he
know,
did.
I'm pretty sure that he did not. And
Yeah.
he's definitely one to compliment people on their clothing.
So anyway, you're in a situation though, but here's what I'm thinking's running through your mind. Okay. This was a good friend of yours, right?
Mhm.
Okay. You don't want to, I'm just guessing. You're going like, man, he knows Macy Gray. I know Macy Gray. I got stuff I want to send Macy Gray, but I don't really want to ask him because that's kind of tacky of me saying, oh, by the way, I've got some music. Can you make sure Macy Gray gets it? So how did that come to the next step?
The funny part is I did the exact opposite. I said, don't you dare. I was like, if this is a setup for you to tell her that we do whatever.
Did he
Okay.
know already that you'd been recording?
Yes, he already knew. He
Okay,
heard
okay,
the
okay, okay,
song.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So it actually, he wanted to set up the meeting after our wedding because we got married in San Diego. And of course, she's out in LA. And he said, well, the only time that she would be available at the studio would be right after your wedding. And we thought, the day after a 7-day Indian wedding? Okay, yeah, we're already out there. Let's just go up to LA. We just took an Uber literally to LA.
Oh my God.
But even before I actually lost my voice at my wedding because I sang at my wedding and we were partying like crazy, right? So I already
Yeah, I'm
lost
sure you did. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
my voice. And I deliberately told him, and I was like, I do not want this to be a setup. Because I don't want anybody
Yeah,
to feel like I'm using them for any ulterior motive.
yeah, you're
I
right.
genuinely just wanted to meet her and like see a professional
Sure.
studio. What a blessing, what a gift. How cool would that be to be
Yeah.
I literally told him, I was like, if this is a setup, I was like, don't you dare. I was like, and in addition, Michael, I was like, I do not have a voice. I sound like this. So if you try to get me to sing, I will embarrass myself. I was like, so don't you dare. And the way that the singing thing came up was, oh gosh. her Macy's producer produced Colbie Caillat, and during our conversation when we met in the studio, we started talking about Colbie Caillat, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I grew up on Colbie. I
Mm,
love Colbie. I know every one of the lyrics off of her first album. I just love it." And he goes, "Oh my gosh, do you know Bubbly?" And I was like, "Yes, I love Bubbly. Who doesn't know Bubbly?" And he said, "Well, he's like, did you know I actually co-wrote that song?" And I said, "No way." And of
yeah.
course,
Stop it.
my
Just stop it.
right. And of course, Michael, my friend, utilized that opportunity. I can't remember quite, but it was somewhere in that
Right.
conversation to say, and she sings. I could have punched him so hard.
Oh yeah, I understand. I understand that. Yeah.
I'm talking like this right now. There is no one in the world that's good at that. And of course, Michael Blue, the producer, said, "Oh," he's like, "Will you sing?" He's like, "Well," he's like, "Bubbly, would you like to sing it for me?" And that was a really pivotal moment in time because old Tara, who is traditionally very shy and introverted, and especially when it comes to singing in stage performance, old me would have said no, especially with a raspy voice. But in that point in time, I was kind of off a high off my wedding too, and I looked
Sure.
great. I was in a really cool Indian outfit.
What
And
are
I
you going
thought,
to lose? What are you going to lose? The worst thing you
what
do
do
is
you have to lose? That's
Macy
exactly
just won't
what
call
went through
you
my
again.
mind.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, cool. I was like, they'll never talk to me again. They probably aren't going to anyway. So,
That's
you
right.
could say yes or you could say no. But if you say no, you know exactly what's going to happen. But if you say yes, maybe, maybe. And for some reason, do you know Michael Blue said, "Oh my gosh," he's like, "the tone in your voice," right after we sang it. And I said, "Now, Michael, I hate to disappoint you, but I've lost my voice. I do not sound like Macy Gray all the time. This is not based
No,
on
nobody sounds like Macy Gray except Macy
right.
Gray.
I was like, this raspy thing is just like a temporary addition, right?" And he said, "Well," he's like,
Go.
"do you have original songs that you've written?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And he said, "Would you like to play them for us?" And I was like, "Okay, sure, yes." And Praveen pulls a guitar off the wall and we start playing some of our demos for him. And that's kind of how everything happened.
That is a weird deal though.
It's a
A
weird
weird
deal.
deal because it's like, let me here's what's weird about it is you're just you're like, oh hey, I've got some stuff recorded. Oh no, sit down and play right now. I mean, and you're in a room where you're in the studio and your husband whips the guitar out and it's like, okay, we're doing a solo act right in front of these people that could change our lives. And you're
Yeah,
like, what do I, okay, let's just go for it.
just go for it.
Because what
And
I mean, like the worst thing that happened is they go, well, you don't, just
right,
don't
like
worry.
that
We'll
was
be in touch. We'll be in touch.
right.
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
And truly, when they said that we would keep in touch after that, I thought that would be the last of our conversations.
Yeah.
But honestly, I really do think we just had so much fun with them at the studio that day. It was my birthday, and we said, we're going to go out to a bar. It's my birthday, and we just got married. We're
Well,
going to go.
nothing else. You got a memory. There's a song memory
Right,
right there. I mean, come on.
right. And then Macy said, "Oh," she's like, "Well, I haven't been to a bar in a while." And Michael Blue said, "I haven't been to a bar in a while either. He doesn't drink." And they said, "Can we come with you guys?" And we said, "Hey, yeah, you want to come with?" "Oh, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Please come and celebrate with us. We would love
See,
that."
what you didn't realize at that point, you had crossed a line. And the line is a regular person to a musician.
Yeah.
And that's when your life changed. Because if you hadn't have taken it, and I had this conversation with somebody the other day. Everybody I talk to that tends to make it, not necessarily be famous, but do well in the music industry, always took a chance. And I always explained it to them like, not like driving down the road at 150 miles an hour. They took a chance in their life that paid off. Okay. And it pays off after years of taking chances. But sometimes, but it's the one thing I've learned from talking, and I've been fortunate to talk to some famous people. Once you're in that group, you're in the group. And you can't, I tell people this all the time. I've had Grammy people on my show. I've had a lot of people on my show. I can't turn into fanboy, which is what you want to do. When you got one of your favorite guitarists on the other side of the screen, you're like, oh my God, I'm doing it. You can't do that. because at that point you're a fan. You became a musician. And
Mhm.
that's where they realized it. And then the other part you realize is like, well, they're just like people like me too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you forget that because we see people on the stage or hear them in our favorite listening types
Mhm.
and don't realize that they have a life.
Yeah.
They go to
Yeah.
the store, they eat, you
Yes.
know, hey, I'm going to
Children,
go mow the
they,
lawn. I mean, it's stuff that you don't even think about because we're so attuned to that moment that you see them.
100%.
But so you go out and have drinks. How long after that moment in time did they contact you and say how did what was the next thing that transpired to make it different for you?
It was about a couple weeks.
Well,
And I
that's not
guess,
very long at all.
yeah, not very long. Michael contacted us and actually he said, so Praveen, he called Praveen. I wish he was here. I'm hoping I'm communicating this
I was going to
correctly.
ask you if he was traveling with you.
2 weeks, right? It was 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Michael contacted him and he goes, so I have something really interesting. He's like, I've been talking to Macy about you guys, and she kind of wants to help you guys with this project and like the songs that we had already done. And we were like, well, what? Because at the end of the bar that night, we were only there for like an hour, but
Yeah.
it was Mikal Blue who said, "Okay, yeah, we'll keep in touch, keep in touch." And then it was 2 weeks later when he said, "Well, he's because Macy continued to record there, and I guess he told her that he was interested in working with us." And she said, she's like, "I really like them, I guess, and let's see what we can do with them. Let's see if we can help them out." So I feel unbelievably blessed to have met her that day and yeah, just to have created a friendship. I think it's really the connection more than anything, but I guess you like the song.
What's the biggest surprise that you were not in the music industry? What's
Mhm.
the biggest surprise that you've come across now that you've been doing this for a while? What's the one thing that kind of surprises you about the industry in general?
Oh, goodness. What's the biggest surprise?
Interesting question, isn't it?
It is an interesting question. The biggest
Because
surprise.
you went from being a nurse practitioner to
Yeah.
being a musician, and it's a whole different. I mean, you're dealing with doctors, which is a completely different thing, different with producers and record labels and people that are, whatever.
I would really say it's just understanding how a true produced song comes together.
Oh yeah,
Because Ravina and I originally started, it was just him and I on an acoustic guitar and a mic,
sure.
and that's all it took. We could play out. All I would have to bring is myself, and all he would have to bring is his guitar. And when you start working on production, there is a whole lot that goes into it,
Hmm.
and everyone has a different formula and everyone has an opinion, and a lot of the times all of those
That's true.
opinions are right, but a lot of times there's everything's negotiable, right?
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, my biggest shock was how complex not only songwriting potentially can be, but the whole production of what really and truly goes into making a
Hmm.
I think will blow people's mind when they really get into the nitty-gritty of it.
So where did you record the album that's just released?
This was at Revolver Recordings out of oh gosh, why am I drawing a blank? Thousand Oaks,
Ah, so you're in California.
Michael Blue studio.
And how many people were involved with it, musician-wise?
Ooh, musician wise, how many would you say, Praveen?
Mm, depends. Probably five, 4 or 5.
4 or 5
That's not
musicians?
that many. Yeah,
Yeah.
not that many. So
Awesome.
here you are, Macy Gray, who has one of the most unique voices on the planet. Um, she says, "Hey, I'm going on a little tour. You want to go with me?" Well, let me check my watch. Let's see what time. Oh, yeah, I think we're not busy. Anyway.
Now this one, Rick, did really happen like that. It was the funniest thing. So, but I didn't really take her seriously when she said it. She said it, let's see, it was probably last August or so. And she said, we're touring Europe next year, literally, why don't you all come with me? And we said, she's is Am I hearing? No. Well, we said yes, of course.
Yeah.
But there was a part of me that was, I don't know. I don't know if it just works like that. Like, I don't know if you can just, I don't know.
Yeah, it does
But
work.
I
It does
said,
work like that.
but I said, well, but you know what? Until I get confirmation, I'm gonna prepare like heck
Yeah.
until it happens. And even if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna have a full-blown ready set for whatever may come. I was like, I'll sign up for other stuff if it doesn't
Yeah.
happen. But
Yeah.
this really put, the fire under my to make sure that we had a really well put together set that I could take on any opportunity, even if maybe this didn't happen. But I'm very blessed to say that, oh my God, it happened.
What do you want to do now? I mean, you're getting a taste of the real world because to me, touring can be grueling. You're not doing a lot of dates. You're doing enough to keep it fun because I mean, you're in Europe. Europe crowds are completely different than American crowds. I hear that from everybody, tells me the same thing. They appreciate people more. You're not
Mhm,
traveling 12 hours to get to a place. You're traveling 3 or 4 hours. The venues are not nearly as big.
mhm,
But when this all ends, which it will,
mhm.
and you're sitting in your home going, did we just get off a tour? What do you see happening in your future? I mean, obviously, you're kind of supporting your music now,
Mhm.
but this goes till August? When's the tour end? July? It's sometime during the summer.
Yes, so Macy ends her European tour, let's see, I believe end of June, early July, and then she'll start her American tour. I'm touring with her until about mid-June. And my hopes are, as much work as this was, we're having so much fun, and
Mhm.
it is just another extension of your art to put together a set. My husband and I really joke about it that it's like we're putting on a play,
Yes, it is.
a whole other extension of we create a lot of music videos together. We love the music videos. We love the writing aspect
I
of it.
haven't
We love,
seen it. Those are on your YouTube channel, aren't they?
yes, those are
Okay.
on
Yeah, I
YouTube.
watched most of the stuff, but for some reason I didn't see any of those.
And we always work on those together, concepts, execution, what have you. But I think performing is another extension of that. And I really love the set that we have, and it'll be so much fun. Oh gosh, and Matt, we're constantly thinking of, well, if we add this song, what are we going to do for that? How are we going to visualize that one? How are we going to make it exciting for the audience? And so I think I'm really excited to explore more of the live performance and, creating something that's longer than an opening set and taking on any opportunities that we possibly
How long, how
can.
long do you get to play now?
So we're doing about a 30-minute set.
30 minutes. Okay.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
know the rule.
Mhm.
If you're going to make money in this business, you have to tour. And what's the other thing you got to have?
Merch.
That's exactly. So that's the next thing. You'll have to get merch and then you'll have to sell it.
Yeah, I
And
have
oh, you do?
I have it. I got posters, I got QR codes, I got social QR codes. I wish I would show you my setup, but we tried to play it like, this is a once in a lifetime
Well, yeah, you
opportunity.
can't really do it what you're doing now. I mean,
Let's
you
push
can, but you
it
can.
push it to the limit, and let's just see what happens, and I'm very fortunate too that my husband Praveen has a lot of business knowledge, and so we're very much a team as far as I take care of like the social and the marketing and the storylines, but he's really not only behind the production, he's behind the admin and the business part
There
of
you
it.
go.
So us together, like we're double timing it and double
All right,
teaming it.
so I have to ask you this. How's your Hindi coming along?
You know, I smile a lot. And I find that that gets me through a lot of things. You just smile and I smile some more and they like it me.
Sitting up late in bed at night, overthinking every line. The more she tries to make it make sense, the more she starts to cry.